For pretty much any CPA firm, growth is what it's all about, right? But what happens when that success starts creating this overwhelming pressure? Team burnout? Well, today we're going to break down a strategic guide to scaling your firm without all that strain. So let me just ask you this, straight up. Does this question hit a little too close to home? You're bringing in more clients, which is fantastic, of course, but the deadlines are just piling up, your best people are stretched way too thin, and that pressure, it just keeps mounting. Your success really shouldn't feel like a punishment. This is such a classic scenario that so many firm owners find themselves in. We call it the growth trap. On paper, everything looks amazing. Revenue's up, client list is growing, but in reality, every single new client just makes that operational bottleneck a little bit tighter. It's this vicious cycle where growth actually leads to less freedom and way more exhaustion. So what does this growth trap actually look like day to day? Let's get into the specifics, the real challenges that come along with it. Okay, these are the symptoms. You know the drill. Trying to hire qualified staff? It takes months. And when you finally find someone, training them pulls your best senior people off of important client work. Meanwhile, payroll just keeps creeping up, and the busy seasons, they've gone from busy to completely overwhelming. You start worrying if the quality of work is slipping, and here's the final painful sign you're trapped. You actually have to start turning away good clients because you just don't have the bandwidth. So yeah, that's a really tough cycle, but here's the good news. It is not unbreakable. There is absolutely a smarter way to scale your firm that doesn't just mean working harder and longer hours. Let's dig into that strategy. And that smarter way is strategic outsourcing. Now, listen, the most important word there is strategic. This isn't just about finding cheaper labor, not at all. It's about fundamentally rethinking your operating model. It's about adding capacity and expertise exactly when and where you need it, but without the huge long-term cost and commitment of another full-time hire. You're basically building flexibility right into the DNA of your firm. So, you might be wondering, why India? Why is it such a global hub for this? Well, for a US firm, the advantages are just massive. You get access to this huge pool of talent, accountants who are already trained in US GAAP and tax laws. Communication is totally seamless, and the time zone difference, that becomes your secret weapon. Work is getting done while you sleep, which can literally slash your client turnaround time. Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but how does this thing actually work in practice? Let's take a look at the operational side of things. How to make this a part of your firm's daily life. This table right here shows the real sweet spot for outsourcing. We're talking about the structured, repeatable tasks that are basically the engine room of your firm. Tax prep, that's the classic place to start. But all that routine accounting and bookkeeping, perfect candidates. See, when you outsource these, you free up your in-house team to focus on the higher value advisory work. You can even build a whole dedicated offshore team that works just like a remote extension of your own staff. And the process itself? It's surprisingly simple and super secure. Your offshore team gets secure access to your cloud systems, and they use the exact same tools you're already using, so there's no disruption. Communication is constant. And this is the most important part. Your team, your people, always performs the final review. You never, ever give up control. You're just delegating the prep work. Of course, whenever this topic comes up, some very valid questions and concerns pop up. So let's just tackle the most common ones head on, right now. This is the number one fear, right? I'm going to lose control over the work. But the reality is, it's the exact opposite. A really good outsourcing partnership is built around a super robust review process. You set the standards, you have the final word, you maintain complete oversight. You're simply outsourcing the doing, not the directing. All right, the second big one, quality. Will it suffer? You'd be surprised. A lot of firms actually find that their quality improves. Think about it. Your offshore team is specialized. They're dedicated to these specific tasks day in and day out, so they become experts in your process. That focus often leads to fewer errors and more consistency than when your overworked internal team is trying to juggle a dozen different things at once. And finally, there's this myth that this whole strategy is just for the giants, the big mega firms. That could not be further from the truth. Honestly, it's the small and mid-sized firms that often have the most to gain. For them, adding just 1 or 2 offshore team members can be absolutely transformative. It unlocks a level of capacity that would be pretty much impossible to hire for locally. So when you put all of this together, what's the true impact on your firm? Let's look past the day-to-day tasks and get to the real bottom line here. This is what it's all about. It's a chain reaction. You get sustainable growth because you're not held back by hiring anymore. Your team feels less burnout because now they can focus on more engaging, high-value client strategy. Turnaround times get faster, which clients love, profit margins improve, and your whole operation just becomes more stable. It's a holistic, all-around win. This quote just nails it. It perfectly captures that crucial shift in mindset. You stop thinking of outsourcing as, a temporary patch to get you through a busy season. Instead, it becomes a core piece of your long-term strategy, a way to build a firm that's more scalable, more profitable, and just plain more resilient.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Take a hard look at your firm's operations, at your team's workload, at your goals for the future. Are your systems today built just to survive the next deadline, or are they truly designed to support the ambitious growth you're really aiming for? The answer to that question, well, it could change everything.